I'm gonna be so real right now. I'm using my iPhone to film this. Yep. But anyways, little disclaimer. I know you guys can see the ring light. I know you can see it. I am so sorry about that. It's literally 9:10 p.m. So we're just doing our best. So let's get into the video before it takes me another 30 minutes to figure out how to get a camera to freaking work. Welcome back to our little mini podcast where I just talk about whatever the heck I want for 20 minutes and you guys have to listen to it. I feel like I'm literally on crack because I've been filming this video for like over an hour already and haven't actually filmed the video. This has to be the last try because I think I might actually throw hands. You guys already read the title and thumbnail. You know what the heck we're doing here today, everybody. We are talking about book talk and booktube and the differences between and my opinions. That's all we're talking about. So the reason I wanted to do this video is because I've seen a couple of people that I follow on other social media platforms also talking about this, about like the stark difference between booktube and book talk and how different they can be. And I just want to add my 2 cents. That's all. That's pretty much what we're doing here today. A little bit of background. I am a booktube girly. I'm a booktube girl through and through and will probably always be because I just feel like I'm the kind of person who really wants to feel that sort of like connection. I don't want to seem like one of those people who has like a parasocial relationship with the YouTubers they watch because I really don't care much for the people I watch, but it's more that I feel more connected to the content when it's a long format YouTube video, where with TikToks it feels a lot less personal and I can just like swipe and not watch. You know, with the YouTube content that you watch, I feel like you need to just be a heck of a lot more picky because, you know, with TikTok, it'll kind of track what you like and then show you more of the things that you like. Where personally with me, I feel like my YouTube algorithm really reflects day to day. Like this week, for some reason, I've been really, really into like Sims content and watching a lot of Sims content, which I used to be really, really into a couple of years ago in like middle school and early high school. I was like absolutely obsessed with like Little Simsy and like other Sims YouTubers like that. And so for some reason the past couple of weeks I've been really into it. It's been really fun. I've been playing The Sims a lot more lately. It's been really, really fun to get back into that kind of hobby. And so my For You page on YouTube is really reflecting that, where a lot of the videos are now about Sims things and stuff like that. Whereas maybe a month ago when I was still, you know, very much in with the reading and everything and watching a lot of booktube videos, it was all booktube related content on that like front page. Whereas TikTok, I don't know if it's maybe that I just haven't built my For You page as much as other people have. I just don't feel like I get as much out of the content I'm watching on TikTok. I tend to watch a lot of the like POV TikToks or like the people who do like the skits and stuff, like the wedding ones, or like there's that one with that mom with the kid Max, or like clips from shows where like you could watch like a scene. For some reason, that's what I get on my For You page. I guess it's because I interact with the content and I keep watching it, and that's why then TikTok keeps recommending more of it to me. But I just don't feel the same about the content that I'm watching on TikTok than I do on YouTube. Like on YouTube, I subscribe to certain people. I have notifications on for certain people because I want to continue to consume their content, where I never find myself really caring about the people I watch on TikTok. And that might just be a personal thing, that I just don't care as much about the TikTok influencers that I follow. So I think that's where I'm coming from, saying that I think these are two different communities, because to me they're different because I don't actually follow really any book people on TikTok. So that's kind of my background on the content and my background on my beliefs in this video. And I separated this into about 4 separate little like chapters of what I want to talk about. So in our first little chapter, we're going to talk about the format and content styles of TikTok and YouTube. So starting with TikTok, I feel like TikTok is known for that short and snappy 15 to like 60-second videos that are very fast paced. They're very trend focused. They're very aesthetic. They're very like quick. if that makes any sense. And, on the opposite end, YouTube is the opposite. It's usually more long format, from like 10 minutes to sometimes 30 minutes to there are some people who make like hour-long reading vlogs that are very in-depth. They're very long, they're all kinds of like videos of that nature. So for TikTok, I feel like the short and snappy content works really well because you're scrolling. You're just like one after another, after another, after another. And it feels very quick and like you're getting a very quick hit of dopamine. Whereas most YouTube videos, you really gotta like enjoy and watch from start to finish to fully get what that creator was intending you to get out of the video. Whereas TikTok, they're like 15 seconds and then you can move on. And like it's like, oh, okay, whatever. Swipe. So what I use TikTok for when it comes to book related things is typically when I want to look up a book's aesthetic or what a book like looks like to other people, I go to TikTok. But actually, I usually just go to Pinterest to do that because it's a little bit easier and I can actually like see what I want to see rather than have to scroll through like 20 videos to find one that I think matches how I feel about the book. And I do see things a lot. I see a lot of like hauls and a lot of, lists of underrated reads or a lot of like quick wrap-ups and things like that where there's just not a lot of information about the book or about the author or much about how the person really feels. Because on TikTok, you do have to be fast, you do have to be quick, you do have to make sure that it stays within the like 60-second limit because typically the consumer of TikTok is not looking for a 3-minute video about a book. They want a 15-second quick give me your, super fast wrap up or else I'm going to swipe before you're even done talking. Whereas with YouTube, you're really there to experience the book with the creator that you're watching. Like, for instance, when I make a YouTube video, when I'm making like a vlog, like a reading vlog, I try to leave in the moments where I have a very physical reaction or if something really cool happens and I want to talk about it, I try to leave those kind of clips in because I feel like it's fun for the viewer to experience the book alongside the creator in the video. Like, I think it's cool when I watch booktubers when they leave in the clips when they, get to a really good part of the book and they have like a really, really physical reaction, like they're crying or they get really excited or they think it's really cute. I like when they leave it in there because it feels like I'm getting to experience those emotions with them about that book. I am sure people on TikTok are making reading vlogs and put their heart and soul into them. And I'm sure that they're doing a great, great job. And I'm not saying that the TikTok content with books isn't good. I'm sure a lot of it's very good. I just don't find myself as into it because I just cannot get into the book content because of how short it is. I guess it just makes me feel like I need to have already read the book to watch the TikTok version of people reading it. Does that make any sense? On YouTube, I feel like even if I'm watching a video and I haven't read the book that YouTuber is reading in the video, I feel like I can still enjoy the reactions they're having and enjoy the book while they're enjoying it. Whereas on TikTok, most of the time, I feel like I need to have already read the book to understand what they're talking about and understand how they feel about it. I just feel like TikTok can sometimes lack depth. Not the creator. I know the creators, I know there's a lot of drama currently surrounding people like not actually reading the books they're saying they're reading, which is crazy. But I think it lacks the ability to have depth. Because I know these TikTok creators are reading these books and really having, very physical and visceral reactions to their reading experiences. I just don't feel like they are able to share them as easily as other people can. Like, they can share them like as they're reading and you can kind of get like little snippets in videos of them reading a book. But I just don't feel like it's the same as watching like a 30-minute video of somebody reading a book. And then naturally, YouTube feels like there is so much time for a deeper understanding and being able to really explore the themes and descriptions and just have these really in-depth discussions about the book and about the themes of the book and all those kinds of things. I just sometimes feel like, I guess I'm just a long format person. I just don't think the short format is for me. I need to move on. I've been talking about this for way too long. Our next little chapter is the audience and accessibility in these two formats. Something I also think that makes a huge difference between TikTok and YouTube with the audiences specifically is that the audiences on TikTok are not expecting it to be this huge, thorough thing. Does that make sense? When I go watch people on TikTok, I'm not expecting it to be a groundbreaking thing. Like, I'm expecting it to be a TikTok. It's 15 seconds, supposed to be quick and snappy. I'm not expecting it to be the craziest video I've ever seen in my entire life. It doesn't need to be the best edited video ever. But on YouTube, I feel like there's a higher expectation of quality. You know, your video needs to be so many minutes long, and it needs to be, you know, it needs to look nice, it needs to sound well, it needs to have that oomph, that va-voom that makes people want to click on it. Whereas on TikTok, it just gets fed to people on an algorithm and just like goes. Like, it doesn't have to inherently draw someone in, because you're just going to scroll, like, people are just going to scroll onto it, and then as more people interact, it then gets shown to more people. Where I feel like on YouTube, there's this huge pressure on, you got to make sure that your thumbnail is good, and you have to make sure your title is really good, because you need to really make sure that you're able to draw people into actually watching the video, because it's not as easy to get people to watch the video if all they're seeing is one photo, you know? Anyways, chapter number 3, we have the culture and community dynamics between YouTube and TikTok. So TikTok specifically, I feel like, is so focused on the trends. What books are viral, what aesthetics are viral at the time, what is the most popular trending audios, things like that definitely steer TikTok creators in a direction with their content. You know, if there's a specific book that's really, really popular, you gotta read it, or you have to reread it, or you gotta just make a bunch of TikToks about it. And I feel like that can really change the way that you're looking at things. And the aesthetic of your video has to be very specific to what the people are wanting and what the trend is liking at the time. I feel like on TikTok, it's a very aesthetic driven culture. You know, you have to have the beautifully annotated pages. You have to have the aesthetic TBR stacks. You have to have aesthetic book hauls. Like, you have to make sure at all times that your content looks good, it's aesthetic, it goes along with the trends. It's very hyper focused on what it looks like and not what's actually in the video. TikTok's whole thing is very driven on, you know, being on trend and doing the challenges that are popular at that time and interacting with other creators who are, you know, doing the same things as you're doing at the time. Whereas on YouTube, I feel like there's such a strong emphasis on heavy discussions of things, being very thorough in your thoughts and things like that. I feel like it's also where you're able to find more niche people. I mean, not saying that TikTok doesn't have very niche people, because it also does. I feel like on YouTube, though, there's such a huge library of people who have been making very niche videos about certain genres of literature for years and years and years and years and years, and haven't reached the same level of people and the same amounts of people that maybe somebody on TikTok can very easily. I just feel like YouTube itself is very niche driven. You have to, you know, find that niche that you like and stay there in order to build a community, which ultimately is probably my downfall, because I switch between niches pretty much every other day. I, you know, vlog all the time. I make videos like this. I make reading vlogs. I make other types of reading content. So I'm not really strictly in one niche at all times, but I try to stick in a niche as much as possible. And I also feel like on YouTube, the collaborations are a lot larger. It's a lot more in depth. It's a lot bigger of a project than it is on TikTok specifically, because TikTok, you could just duet each other and that's it. Whereas on YouTube, you have to both plan out the content. You have to spend time filming the content, then you have to edit the content, then you have to make sure, hey, when are you going to upload this? How are you going to do this? Like, there's a lot of planning that goes into the YouTube side of things, whereas TikTok is more quick. Whereas YouTube, it takes a lot longer to plan and put together these huge collaborations, whereas on TikTok, it can be a lot quicker, a little bit easier for you to do, because there's not as much that needs to go into the back end portion of the videos, I guess. I mean, there's still a huge amount of work that goes into the back end of TikToks. I just think it's a different thing. I just keep saying the same thing over and over again. So basically, what I was trying to say in that entire segment just now was that I feel like TikTok is focused more on fast-paced, very viral moment kind of things, whereas YouTube is more slow and is more focused on building a very niche, close-knit community and making that close connection with people on a longer format scale. Okay, chapter number 4, our last and final sort of talk about TikTok and YouTube here, everybody. My last and final chapter is going to be the influence on the publishing industry from both TikTok and YouTube. I'm going to just say, I feel that TikTok has had a huge impact on the publishing industry within the last 4 or 5 years. I think anybody can tell you that, because I think that if it wasn't for the huge rise of reading in 2020 on TikTok, I don't think that the reading community would be as large and huge and reach as many of the people that it can reach as it has if it were not for TikTok. Because TikTok is so much more easily accessible for anybody, because it's just on your phone and it's pretty fast paced, and a video could just go viral and it'll pop up on your For You page, and all of a sudden you're welcomed in this whole new side of TikTok that you've never been on before. I feel like it definitely has a huge impact, and I think will continue to have a huge impact on the publishing industry because of the ability to go so wildly viral. I feel like when I think about Book Talk, I think about, ACOTAR, It Ends With Us, Fourth Wing, things like that of course, I read because of TikTok and because of the virality of those books and how they came across my For You page, and I was like, dang, I really want to read that. That looks really good. So I really feel like without TikTok, I don't think the reading world would be as huge and as viral as it is now. I feel like TikTok was able to platform people who really have very strong emotional feelings about books, and that translates to people being like, wow, this person really, really likes this book. Maybe I should try it. Maybe I should, read this book because all these people say it's amazing. But there's also a downside to the virality factor of these books. And that's that personally, and I know a lot of other people feel the same, is that Book Talk's genres are very, very small. I feel like I tend to only see books from romance, young adult, fantasy, and other sort of smaller subgenres of those three, the most being made so viral that my mom would know the book that they're talking about. It's a very small group of genres that I feel like TikTok really prioritizes making very, very popular. And I think that can also hinder how many people actually get to see these books and get to read these books. And I think that's a huge reason a lot of people don't like Book Talk. I think that's a very valid reason, because I feel like if you stuck to only things that were viral on TikTok, you definitely would not be able to experience anything else, because they don't really recommend things that aren't popular and aren't I guess what I'm trying to say is I feel like TikTok very much tunnel visions to certain things that become super, 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 super viral, and then you're never really able to find other things. I remember when Fourth Wing was huge, and it seemed like every single human being on Book Talk was only talking about Fourth Wing. And I was like, yeah, but what about all the other books that are of the same genre that probably are just as good, that should also be getting talked about, but they're not, because everybody's just so overexcited about Fourth Wing. Where on YouTube, I feel like it's very much a more long-term popularity. It's about building a sustainable influence in that community. Whereas TikTok, it's more of how can I go viral? Because, the only way to stay super relevant is to continue to go viral and continue to, pick a book that's going to go viral before it goes viral, so that then, you start the trend that this book is so popular. That's where I think the biggest difference between these two places really, starts to show the most. And yeah, so YouTube, it's more important to create a sustainable influence over your community and over your genre of book. Whereas TikTok is more important of you got to stay on what's popular. You got to move around and make sure you're staying with what's popular. YouTube is where I feel the more diverse genres get the representation that they need, because I feel like TikTok, I mean, it's just the way the algorithm works and the way the app is built to be used is just different. They're two completely different platforms for a reason. And so I feel like if you're really looking for something very specific and there's a very specific genre that you want something from, you can use TikTok to find those kinds of things. But I personally, if I have a very specific genre that I want to read or I want to find a book recommendation for, I will like type that whole thing into the search bar of YouTube and just like scroll through the videos and try to find one that has, you know, my top 10 favorite of this or my top 10 of that, or, you know, list of my favorite this specific niche genre or whatever. That's just my opinion on it. I just feel like YouTube is more diverse in the genres that I end up seeing, whereas like TikTok, I see the same kind of genre over and over again and get the same recommendations over and over and over again. And I totally understand. That's just the way that algorithm is created, and that's how you kind of are incentivized to create content there. Whereas YouTube, you can kind of just talk about whatever the hell you want to talk about because it's your YouTube channel. You can do whatever you want. And you don't have to focus your content on what's trending. You can make your content on whatever you want as long as you continue to build the sustainable influence in that niche that you're in, you know? Ultimately, I feel like both are very valid communities and have their pros and cons, because any kind of community that's on the internet has its pros and cons because it's the internet and, you know, it's, yeah. I personally am a long format person. I'd love to hear from somebody who feels more like they are a more short format content person, how they feel about these things. I'd love to know how you guys feel about it, what your guys' opinions are on this topic. I have a lot of opinions, as we could tell. I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on this topic in the comments down below, because I feel like it's such a topic where you can go both ways. Like, there are days where I feel like, you know, I'm more of a long format person. Sometimes I spend all day on TikTok. I feel like they're definitely, I think anybody can agree that TikTok and YouTube are two completely different animals and have two completely different communities that are a part of them. But I do think they share a lot of the same things, of that it's a joy to read, and they continue to share, you know, that everybody should read and everybody should be allowed to enjoy reading, because it's a hobby that I think everybody should, you know, enjoy in their life, because it's something that is amazing. I personally don't think I'd be the same kind of person that I am today if it wasn't for me getting into reading and finding this kind of stuff, which I have to credit TikTok for feeding me the people I ended up finding on YouTube, and ultimately got me into reading and got me to where I am, surrounded by books and talking about books on the internet. I think if you're somebody who makes TikTok videos and that's what you love, keep on doing it, hun. I'm so happy for you. I do not know how you do it, because TikTok is a really scary place. So yeah, whether you're for the fast-paced vibes of TikTok or you like the more deep dive kind of stuff here on YouTube, it's important to just do what you're gonna do and love what you're gonna love, because books are subjective and it's all about your own opinion. And don't let anybody tell you that your opinion is wrong, because it's your opinion and you're allowed to have whatever opinion you want. But yeah, let me know down below what you guys feel about this. Which kind of book content do you prefer? Which kind of content do you prefer in general? Do you prefer TikToks over YouTube? Do you prefer YouTube over TikTok? Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed another one of our little mini podcast episodes. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below. And don't forget to put on those post notifications so you get a notification the next time I post. And I will see you guys in the next video. Toodles! This was like kind of fun. Woohoo!